Okay, so we all know the drill. It's you have a 6 o'clock flight back to Oklahoma City, wherever you're going for the off Shabbos, right? And you're getting up. It's 4 in the morning, and your Uber's coming, and everything's like good, ready to go. And the last thing right before you leave, you realize you put your phone down somewhere, you can't find it. Everything's set. You got your bags, your backpack, your yarmulke, head covering, obviously. You got everything with you. You're ready to roll. You got your tefillin, of course. And you got mocha tzitzis, and, or cash value, nothing. And you're ready to go. And darn, you can't find your phone right before you leave, right? The room's dark. You don't want to wake up your roommates. So you're doing that thing. It's like they can't find the yarmulke before Shacharis thing, right? You're on time. Everything's set. You cannot find your phone. The room is pitch black, and you don't know what to do. So your room, let's say someone's room is a, we call it a mess, let's say, right? So you're throwing stuff around, you're throwing socks around, you're throwing more socks around, you're throwing around the bag of chips, you're throwing around, let's say, BB gun, whatever. You're throwing stuff around, right? Finally, you're totally stuck, you don't know what to do, and then you hear a little ping, and you see a little light. It happens to be that some scam text just popped in, or your flight status just popped in, and you see that little light in the corner. And with that, it's over. You know exactly where it is. It's like right behind the bed. Yeah, you pull it out, take it with you, and like you're good. All it took, you searched, you went crazy, you tried, you were confused, you couldn't find anything. The room was dark. It took one little flash of light, and everything was solved. Okay, it's kind of like it's sort of the equivalent of like when you can't find your phone, so you call it from a different phone, and then you hear your phone, but you're still hearing from two ends of the room, which is really right. You know that, like you're going, it's like follows you the wrong way. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about that little flash of light. And everything is settled. There's no better, more satisfying feeling that you know where you feel like I won, I beat it. That's where it was the whole time, and I found it. It was hard for me. I nailed it. I found it. All it took was that one little ping after an hour of frantic confusion. That's the unclassic version of the classic mashal. We talk about, a person's traveling in the day, a person's traveling in the forest. He can't find his way. He's stuck. He's lost. There's trees everywhere. All of a sudden, a flash of lightning, and everything lights up for that 1 second. And from that 1 second of light, everything's good. Everything's very clear. Okay, that's the story. I always had this question, Chanukah, Purim. Okay, so we got saved, and we had a big chizuk in our Amunah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us that wink, that nod, that He's with us, that He's there. And we had the Beis HaMikdash. It was wonderful. But then since then, we lost the Beis HaMikdash. We've been in gullus, perpetual gullus. We've suffered constantly. We've dipped big time in Ruchnius. We've been in possibly a much worse state now than we were in certain aspects than we were back then. So we're celebrating this major thing, but it seems like we won once, but we've just been dropping since then, and it's a little bit of a letdown. It's like, what's this whole celebration? We appreciate what happened then, we get it, we love it, but I don't want to say what does it help me now, but what's the lesson for now? It's not like it, eventually we took what we took, but we fizzled out, and we're in, Klal Yisrael is in a very challenging, difficult state. The world's messed up. So, what does that do for us now? Yes, Mayor?
Besides that, our whole religion is just based on our history. Like you're learning Torah, you're learning Chumash, you're learning everything.
Yeah.
About Moshe Rabbeinu and
right.
All that has nothing to do with you living now.
So that's a very good question. Meaning we're built on our history. We're so focused on our chinuch because we're always giving the next generation so they can look back at us and look back and look back. That's true. It's a very good point. So that, we learn from the Torah lots and lots of lessons. A lot of the stories were lessons, where the Torah, there's no extra word there. There's things to learn. The way I'm seeing it is kind of like we're celebrating this miracle that we were saved, but then you have this part of you that says are we really kind of saved now? So it's an excellent point. There's what to, and that's really along the lines of what the answer would be, that there's what to learn and take out of Chanukah. That's pretty much how we're going to approach that, is we're going to use it as a lesson. Yeah. Okay, excellent. What our potential is. I mean, we once discussed this a long time ago on, maybe it was Purim. What our potential is, right? You always know, if you know what your highest potential is, you can always look back to that. If somebody, we were talking about this, I think Yom Noraim, right? Yom Kippur is the same idea. I hit the top, I hit the pinnacle on Yom Kippur, but I know in a few months it's going to be Chanukah now, and here I am. So we said that the lesson from that is, no, the lesson is I know my potential. It's like the person who got the gold medal. He knows, even if he's had injuries or he's just hasn't been, watching himself and he kind of slid back, or if, you have somebody in the off season who's you could have been the best a few months ago, and now you're kind of rusty, you know your potential. Excellent. Which is also, that's going to be a kind of a hybrid approach to how I think maybe we can understand this a little bit better. Those are both excellent points. Back then, during the time of Chanukah, there was tremendous confusion. It wasn't just that we were being persecuted. There was terrible confusion going on. It was a spiritual confusion. It wasn't like Purim where it was just a matter of getting rid of us physically. It wasn't like all those other persecutions we're constantly going through where people want us out physically. There was tremendous lack of clarity. And there were Misyavnim, there were people from the Greek culture that was infiltrating, and it was confusing people. It was a smokescreen. It's kind of like, and it's something we can't necessarily even relate to, right? We can't relate to, sometimes we can't relate to Avodah Zarah. It's so hard. But you know what? We also can't relate to the Haskalah. The Enlightenment was maybe 100 years ago. We don't understand. We hear from people, from grandparents, that the Haskalah, this Enlightenment, the movements of different types of political movements and communism, socialism, all these things came in and they ripped apart the yeshivas and they ravaged through them because people would just find this reading material. They would find this propaganda or these, intelligent looking, or really there were intelligent people who really worked on it, and people would get drawn and sucked in to like literature until that it turned their whole hashkafa around and it wrecked them until they become so passionate. They were around the biggest tzaddikim Rosh Hashivas and these people were totally ruined. We can't understand that either, okay? But we know that it was a thing. So we can't necessarily understand what Greek culture was doing, but we know it was a thing. And it was destroying Klal Yisrael. And the Misyavnim destroyed our identity. They basically said, I could be a Yid, I could be a Jew, and I could also be somebody who has certain, leanings or certain beliefs that, hey, kind of this like Greek culture stuff, the secular culture makes a lot of sense. I can kind of do both. So it played with Jewish identity, which is something we see a lot today. People are varying to the whole I'm Jewish, I'm also this, I'm Jewish at heart, I'm Jewish at like every organ internally, I'm Jewish at spleen, right? But I eat bagels, so like everything's great, right? Or, Jewish strength from Chanukah. Chanukah was not about strength. Chanukah, we had no chance. Chanukah was about ruchnias. But people live this whole kind of hybrid thing, which doesn't work. In Judaism, if you're if you're a servant and you're a loyal subject, you can't do both, right? So you could be like a citizen of like 8 countries, like Shmili, most of which don't matter. That doesn't matter so much, right? But I can't do both. Back then, that was like the beginning, as far as I know, of like I could be a Jew and I could be something else. I could be a Jew and I could participate and I could fully kind of believe in both things, which is a massive korban because Klal Yisrael was ironclad and you couldn't penetrate. You could fall on the wrong team, but everybody knew it. Everybody knew you were like, okay, I'm playing for the other team. Here it was like, this is very dangerous. It's like assimilation. It's like where you have, in Eretz Yisrael, they let all these people in, all these, people from other countries because their grandfather was Jewish. Now you have this mess of yichus going on, and it's the same kind of idea. Like, I don't know who anybody's really loyal to. I don't know who anybody's on my team. And I could, quote, do both. I could be, quote, Jewish and also, have not a shred of Jewish blood in me almost at all. So it was a really terrible, scary time. And it was such a revolution that in the way the Misyavnim, that Greek culture in Eretz Yisrael had home team advantage. They became like the default. They became the stronger ones. It's like in society today. Klal Yisrael used to be by and large from. Now we're so small, the B'nai Torah are such a small elite force, but we're always defending ourselves. We have to back ourselves up. People at least sometimes we feel we do, because in the world's corrupt, messed up view of things, we're the ones who are weird. We're the ones who are archaic. We're the ones who are backwards. We're the ones who are getting in the way and messing everything up. Really, we're the ones who are holding on to an eternal truth, and we're the ones who are holding on to a Messiah, and the world around us is just falling away at every whim, every little movement that comes up. Everybody runs after it, and they think we're crazy, and we're sitting like in the observation deck of the asylum. I don't know if they have such a thing, but it must be really interesting, right? And we're sitting here like, okay, yeah, you guys are, right. I know my parents are going to probably watch this, but right, my father one time, for example, when he was in a new hospital in Harlem, which is it's like, the Cleveland of New York, and one of his first days on the job was taking the stairs, and when he just become the head of radiology, and he got off at the wrong floor, and the door wouldn't open up, right, and it was the psych ward, right, like I'm the chairman of radiology, and everybody else would be like, okay, you go have a seat next to Napoleon or the Surgeon General or, whatever, but, or the guy who thinks that he's Zevi, right? Or Zevi who thinks he's Napoleon, right? But like, it's the same idea. It's like everybody around me might think, but like, I really know. But when you're in the psych ward, right? When you're in the psych ward, so you have to kind of feel like maybe I have to speak up for myself until you come to and realize everyone around me is crazy. But that's what happened. So the Misyavdim got the home team advantage, the culture, amazing, and they just put all the from people down. Hey, guess what? We're the ones with the Messiah. We're the ones who God likes, which kind of helps. We're the ones who have families. We're the ones who have values. We're the ones who are happy, right? They never yet took an exit poll at the nursing home to find all like the funny woke people and be like, so how did that work out for you in life? And they're like sitting there with like, saggy tattoos and stuff like, maybe I should have, maybe they were right, So, same idea. But it was a whole big misinformation campaign and we were on the run. It was terrifying. It's like the same way that nuclear weapons are scary, but like artificial intelligence is terrifying. Nukes, okay, we can deal with it. You nuke me, I'll nuke you. All right? You nuke Cleveland, I'll get over it. But like, but AI could, when it gets in control of the nukes, right? That's terrifying because now it's gotten into the mindset, it's in control. So this idea also, we're Klal Yisrael. You want to say that you're not part of it. You want to say that someone once looked at you wrong at a shul, so you're going to go off and you're going to, fine, okay, we feel terrible, but you're not, it's not a threat. It's like, okay, let's help you out. But if somebody gets in and the people who are on the inside, so to speak, all of a sudden start getting affected, that's terrifying because you don't know who's on your, who's with you, who's not. A lot of confusion. Fine. Okay. The world right now, again, this is totally relatable. The world right now is absolutely full of sheker. Right now, what's going to happen in not too long, right? I'll give you an example. I mean, this actually has nothing to do with anything, but somebody showed me a picture. He was at Target recently, and they had the menorah section, the Chanukah section. It was like a menorah, and it was a dreidel, and this big blue and white thing that said Afikomen on it. I don't know. Which is Lishitasa, because I was at Target a bunch of years ago, and I saw a Seder plate, and the price tag said 9-inch Chanukah plate. So I don't know. But the point is, it's a funny way of saying the world has no idea what's going on. But if you ask the people with the Afikomen thing, sure, yeah, I'm Jewish, I got this. Basically, everything's going on in the world. The world's nuts. Mashiach's going to show up any minute, and it's going to be a very awkward thing. Mashiach's going to just show up, and it's going to be like, guys, what's going on over here? And the whole world's going to like stop, have this lucid moment, and be like, right? The UN is going to get up, and like all the media is going to get like, we were kidding, right? It's not going to work, right? It's going to be this moment of like clarity, and it's just everything's going to just stop, right? It's going to be like it's like when you we've all. I'm saying this for a friend, but when you're a little kid and you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm late for the school bus. And you run around and you're dead sure you were going to like miss the school bus any minute. You throw together your clothes, you throw together your homework and everything. You get outside, you're waiting by your corner, and it's pitch black and it's 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And you look at your watch, I was convinced 10 seconds ago, I was totally convinced, right, that like school is coming and I don't know where everybody else is, but I don't care. And you get out there, that moment of clarity, like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, like, oh, right. So same thing, Mashiach's going to come. What is going on over here, right? Society's totally messed up. You guys are going after the Jews relentlessly, right? Like you're going to pull out, I forgot one of the Gedolim said that the reason the UN is there is because everything's going to be on record when Mashiach comes like, oh, the Jews, yeah, we thought they were someone else, right? It's going to be a mess, but it's going to be a moment of clarity. It's going to be that moment where your phone pinged and everything became clear. It was right there under my roommate's sock, right there. Okay, and everything fell into place, and everything's calm, and everything's good. Except it's going to be like that for the entire world. As the world deteriorates and everything's falling apart, the mashal for Mashiach doing that, there's a lot of mashal, and the Mashiach is going to be, it says, the Orei Shel Mashiach. Mashiach's going to bring a certain light to the world. It's going to be a light that, like, this world is just darkness crazy. It's going to be like, it's going to flash. It might just, even like a flash of lightning. It wasn't science who made the world, right? Oh, that actually didn't make any sense. Like, look, I have, just look around you, right? Shai Evans was telling me recently about his parakeet when it laid an egg and the parakeet was born, right? It's right, the whole process of the egg and the incubation. It's like, well, good job, science. Like no, it's like yeah, everyone's going to find every reason. It's like you have somebody who's looking at the ground. And he's saying the sky is purple. I'm telling you it's purple. And I'll bring you 50 reasons why it's purple. And you're like, just look behind you. No, I'm not looking behind. I'm not doing that. That's so old. That old school look at the sky. I'm not doing that. The whole world's like rushing to try to find and back up and reinforce every sheker and every silly garbage out there. And you're going to have that moment of absolute clarity, right? Now, let's say even after your phone pings, right, it's dark again. But even when it's dark, I know exactly, I have my phone, I know exactly now where it was. I know where that pile of stuff is. I know how to get out of the room. I know how to move on with my life. It could be dark again for the next hour. It could be your Uber's not coming for an hour, but I'm good. I'm calm. I'm happy, right? Mashiach's going to come. You're going to have that light, and it's like it says in Yom Noraim davening. Everything's going to be good then, and then the light's going to stick, right? But and the sun's going to come up eventually, and you're going to find your phone. But what if you missed your flight? It was 2 hours too late. You couldn't make it that long. So now I know where my phone is, but I missed my flight to Oklahoma City. Chanukah, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu? This is the way I see it. I don't know. I'm just saying, the way I see it was, Chanukah was, you're right. Now we're stuck in Gullus, and this is like the worst it's ever been. I mean, either we're like, Dara Mabel, no one's got anything on us. The world is, we've said this a million times, which I just heard Ephraim Waxman over Chanukah said over a Zohar. The Zohar says that the things that this is the Zohar times a couple hundred years ago, that the society was so bad then that what we're doing now could be bigger with it than what the Tanaim were doing. Okay, so the world is in a terrible, terrible shape. But Hashem gave us that flash. Maybe why? He gave us Chanukah, even though we descended right back into darkness, and the darkness got worse. We had that one moment of light where things were clear, where like society fell apart, but it cleared up. We had that moment of like, good morning, Chashmonaim came, they won, everything's clear now, everything's good. It gave us thousands of years of strength to be able now to make it all the way to the Geula. So it's that moment of clarity that you have. Once you have that, you're armed now for the rest of a very long time. Even though Chanukah is long over what happened to the base of Mikdash, we're good now. We know that there's such a thing as just all of this just dissipating and things being clear. We have that path. So when we get inundated by society trying again on us, we're protected. We can look back. If we have the clarity, we look back at that moment of clarity. So what does that do for us on a day-to-day basis, besides give us a chizuk, the Mashiach's coming and we can make it? I want to touch back to something, I think we discussed this Elul time. There's a famous Zohar. The Zohar says that the final judgment of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Hoshana Rabbah, and Chanukah. So a lot of people have that like, what? It's halfway through the year. Like, really? Right? We all have that question. It's a knee-jerk question. Like, Chanukah, Yom Adin, like from Elul to Chanukah? That's quite a long time. Like, let's take it longer, right? So I was wondering if the pshat's like this. You have 40 days, Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, then you have Sukkot, Tshuva Me'ira, then you have Tshuva Me'ava, then you have Hoshana Rabbah, which is a judgment. I've seen pshatim, it's a judgment on how you serve Hashem through happiness, through Simcha, the whole Sukkot. It's amazing. We're at like the peak of the peak. We're so close to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We have Shmini Atzeres where our Kadosh Baruch Hu says, stay one more day. It's so amazing how close we are. And then full stop, over. Cheshvan, till the end of Kislev, like stop. Nothing doing till Chanukah. Like empty 2 months. Like I don't know if I were putting together the calendar, I would have made it like, a soft landing. Like we made it all the way to Hoshana Rabbah, but now maybe let's like ease into it. Like full stop for 2 months, really? Like what's with that? Right? Like I'm so close to Hashem and I got 2 months that are just dark and a lot of people, this is when a lot of people start to like kind of unravel a little bit and they have a hard time remembering what their Kabbalahs were. They have a hard time relating back to the moment of Ne'ilah. I was thinking maybe the reason is HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets us to this highest moment of clarity, which is Yom Noraim and Sukkot. The highest moment where we're able to make our Kabbalahs for the year. That is like the moment that we are clearest with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we rely on Him and we love Him and He judges us. Now He gives us 2 months, specifically 2 months of no Yom Tivs, because you made a Kabbalah, you said you're going to make this year different. Let's give it a try. Give it 2 months of no chizuk, of nothing. The day-to-day. Everybody knows you didn't make the Kabbalah for Yom Kippur. You made it for the day-to-day. So as a chesed, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to give you 2 months of day-to-day. Let's see how it goes. For a lot of people, it's tough. That is the ultimate challenge. In a way, it's a lot harder than working the whole Elul. I have 2 months. By the time now, if I were to ask somebody, what was your Kabbalah during Elul? I was trying to go over mine. You can't even pull them up right away. So Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you those 2 months, and then He gives you Chanukah, and Chanukah is really when He looks back and says, let's see how your Kabbalahs went. Let's do a little review how it went. This is really the final moment of your Yom Hadin, because it's very nice when you make these Kabbalahs and you make this chizuk at the highest, closest moments, when everyone's screaming Elul, let's see how you're doing now in Kislev. Let's do a din on that, and let's actually look ourselves over. Let's get ready for that din. Let's go back to that moment of clarity that we had. I could just tell you personally, I would suggest, take a minute. Put yourself back in Elul mode. It's not something we're rushing to do right now. I know. I get it. Tavis is not what we want to run into Elul mode. But take a minute and say, you know what? Where am I holding? Because if I catch myself now, maybe my Kabbalah, I have to think about it. Maybe it was a little too strong. Maybe now that I see myself in day-to-day life, Let me cut it down to 10% of what it was. But it's manageable, and let me try it. Let's take these days to stop and review, go all the way back to that moment of clarity. The same way we go back to that moment of Chanukah where it was super clear, and that was enough to fill us up, to make it now, till Achros Hayamim, to make it till Mashiach, even though it's so dark. Let's go back to that moment of clarity that we had in Elul, right before we went into this dark winter, which we're in the middle of. Look back at it, tune into ourselves to make the year a complete picture. And when you do that, you'll be surprised, because next Elul, it's not going to be like, I messed up again this year. It's going to be, no, you did a review on yourself, and this is the time of judgment. This is the peak. This is the pinnacle. You're going to look at it. You're going to reset it. You're going to make it palpable and workable and practical for the rest of the year. You will be on such a high level because of Chanukah that you could not even imagine. Try to do it. Have a wonderful rest of Chanukah. And the